It's time to dig in and start ranking the rookie wide receivers from the 2024 draft class. We're going to do this every week, so this is going to be a little bit different. This week, we're going to start off with 5 wide receivers. We're going to go off from a different set of rankings. I'm going to re-rank them into tiers. Then next week, we're going to add a couple wide receivers, add them to the tiers. The week after that, we're going to add some more wide receivers, and this is going to be an ongoing process. And during that process, we're going to continuously rehash all these players and identify the tape, identify the metrics, and these are going to change throughout the process because it's January. We're rolling into February. It's early. Nothing should be set in stone. And as I go through my process, I want to dictate it for you guys to follow along, learn the process, go over it, go over what's going through my head and all that. Before we dig in, though, you need to click that subscribe button because we're going over the rankings every single week. We're adding on to this. We're changing players around. I may have a guy ranked number 5, but he could be 15 in a few weeks. I've made a lot of changes over the years, and I did this last year. We're doing it again this year. Week by week, we're adding on to this, and you do not want to miss out. It's going to help you with your rookie drafts. Click that button right now. Stop missing out. But we're going to the tier maker. God bless the tier maker because we like to use this thing a lot. And we're starting off with 5 wide receivers. If your favorite wide receiver in the top 5 is not mentioned, that doesn't mean I don't like them or like them. It's because I used another set of rankings that's not mine, so there's no bias. I used their top 5. We're going to start off with them, and I'm going to rank them from here for this tier maker. And then after that, I'm going to randomly pick wide receivers to add to the tier maker each week while shuffling the deck with my rankings as we go through the process. But let's go with our first wide receiver here. And I'm just going to go with how the tier maker laid out the names down below. And I'm going to go with the first one here. Keon Coleman. I'm just going to set him here. He's not even ranked yet, but Keon Coleman, a very interesting wide receiver prospect. Big draft tends to like him. The Dynasty fantasy football community seems to be either here or here on him. And they tend to either love him or they hate him. He's a big body wide receiver who moves very well. When you look at the counting stats, they're not really hitting, but his last year at Michigan State hit that market share threshold. However, he wasn't super productive. However, he transitioned quickly to Florida State, was a big thing this year, blowing up in games, having highlights, but also did not go nuclear. His final year at Michigan State had a 27% market share. This year was pushing 19%, 18.69%. But still, draft capital is going to matter for this guy. Where the NFL picks him is going to matter. Who selects him. He's not quarterback proof per se because he does not create clear separation. Very solid at the catch point. Good in contested catch situations. Can get downfield. Strong hands. Needs a quarterback that does not care and throws those YOLO balls. But still, I can see where Big Draft likes him. But I can also see where he's a scary prospect. When I think about the S tier, where A tier is going to be at, B tier right now is safe. It's a safe spot considering the draft capital. Honestly, initially, looking at him as a prospect, looking at the numbers, I did not like him. I don't like him. I kind of saw him at the start of the season, and I got intrigued. I saw the highlights. I saw the plays while I was watching Florida State, and I was like, okay, Keon Coleman. Coming over the numbers, I'm like, coming back to the numbers now, I'm like, maybe here. And that's how I feel. That is how I feel. That is me on the reel on Keon Coleman. And this is what you're going to get with these rankings throughout the offseason here. Because I'm just going to point blank say how I feel on the player. And you use that to your best determination on what you want to do. But we got to go into the next player. We got to go into the next dude here. And we're calling it how the tier maker says at the bottom because they shuffled the guys up. But this guy right here, we're going to put him at D to make you confused, but that's not where he's ranked. Troy Franklin. Throw him here at S. Who cares right now? But Troy Franklin, if you've been watching my videos, you know that I like him. You know that I like Troy Franklin. You know I like him at Costa ADP, that back half of the first round, middle of the first round, wide receiver in Superflex. I like that he's being projected or drafted in mock drafts in the back half of the first round. I like that he's going in a spot in drafts where he could potentially get a good quarterback. I like his average depth of target. I liked what he produced. Broke out at age 19 with a 24% market share. We got some production there. Looks good on the field. Can get downfield. Ball skills is there. That being said, when I think about Troy Franklin and ranking him, I can't put him in S tier because we know what S tier is about. I want to save A tier a bit. I might shuffle these guys around. I don't want to be too pushy. I don't want to be that guy. I'm going to put him here in front of Keon Coleman, right in B tier. And when I think about tiers, I'm that guy. If you send me $20 to go to the liquor store and you say, hey, pick us up beer for the party, and I'm looking at beers and I got them in a tier, you don't know what you're going to get come draft day. You don't know what beer I'm going to draft. It could be Bud Light. It could be Red Dog. Ask my friends in college. You don't want to do that. That being said, if you're in a tier, God help you with what you're thinking I'm doing that day in the draft, but it's probably somebody in that tier, and I'm probably going to pick one out. Troy Franklin, my feelings in my heart, ahead of Keon Coleman, but I could be wishy-washy one day. Right now, Troy Franklin ahead of him, but we got to move on. We got to move on to our next wide receiver. I think you know the next three if you're going by rankings. Big draft, big dynasty, ADP. ADP is not really out yet, but we kind of have it on the channel. I need to put that together so you guys can have it because I like being the first person out there with ADP. But that being said, you know who's the next three. Let's roll them out here. Come on down. Odunze. Odunze. There's a lot of chatter here. There's a lot of talk on Odunze. Odunze had a big year this year with over a 33% market share of the team's passing production for Washington. That being said, there's a lot of fights on Twitter about him. Some people have him as like the wide receiver one in this class. No joke. It's him versus Nabers in a lot of fights. It's also him versus Marvin Harrison Jr. And people are fighting to the death. Are you one of those people? I want to know about that. But I do like Odunze, but I liked it before it was cool, and it's kind of too cool for me now. And I like the root for prospects who are under the radar or are getting a lot of hate. So I'm kind of weird with that because I liked Odunze. I thought he is a good prospect. I like him a lot. But I feel like the market is really putting things on fire. As a 20-year-old last year, had a 23% market share. He broke out at age 20 with a 23% market share. He's a good prospect. I like him. He gets downfield. He has ball skills, creates separation. I like him as a prospect. I can't have you in Tier S, though. There's a difference from a Tier S wide receiver in most classes. Really, we did not have one last year. We did not have a Tier S guy. We had to put some guys in Tier S, but we did not have a Tier S guy. We mentioned that because there's Tier S up there, and we said, hey, we got to put someone up there. Odunze in last year's class, he's up there with the big two, big three, however you have it, JSN, Jordan Addison, maybe Zay Flowers if you threw him in there. But he's up there. More than likely the wide receiver one because JSN did not play that year. Has upside for days. I would make the case Jordan Addison is a very safe wide receiver prospect, and you have a good feeling that he's not going to bust on you. But I can't put him in S tier. There's got to be levels to this game. We'll go deeper on that if you got questions. But we got to move on. So S tier. You know who's definitely going in there due to the market, due to how he's been playing throughout his career, and that's Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison Jr. looked good off the rip. And when I mean the rip, on this channel, when we covered his high school highlights, you're probably looking at this channel like, what's going on here? You're covering all these high school players? It's one of the reasons why. He was down there as a 4-star in the rankings. We covered the high school highlights. He was breaking off routes. He was selling routes. He was leaving dudes in his shoes. Then he gets to Ohio State. We had the slow freshman season. And then he blossoms. The thing about him, he works hard non-stop. We're seeing him work hard in the videos in the off season. Him putting the ball in the jugs machine and just chasing it downfield. him getting faster. Not many players get faster throughout their career. Marvin Harrison Jr. did that, and he's getting better. He's got good ball skills, creates separation. I kind of got him comped to like a lankier CeeDee Lamb type of player, but I feel like the odds of him busting is almost non-existent. I feel like no matter where he goes, he's going to give you something, and I feel like the top end could be pushing generational talent territory, and that's why he is regarded as a generational talent among the market. But we got another player. You know who it is because we're talking about 5 today. And he's going in S tier. Malik Nabers. I'm still getting the name down because like all these wide receivers, I cover them from the high school level first. And I hear their names multiple different ways because everyone's trying to figure out who they are when they're a high school player. And then once I hear it once, it's locked in here for a bit. I just got Rashee Rice nailed down. Devin Achane, I'm trying to get that nailed down. Nabers. But a 26.98% market share at age 19 in his second year, breaking out. Do put the stamp on things this year. The most dominant wide receiver on the field in college football this year. He's very explosive off the line of scrimmage. Gets downfield. Dominant. Ball skills, you can test him up against anybody. Creating separation, you're not going to see many contested catch plays because he creates separation like crazy. No one's going to argue about Malik Nabers being a dud. And no one's going to argue about Odunze sucking. The thing about this, that's a battle. These two right here on the internet, on Twitter, they're just fighting it out. People are just fighting this out. You don't have to. You don't have to. Just realize they're good wide receivers. Realize there's levels to this. Malik Nabers, productive at a younger age. Malik Nabers more dominant in a better conference. Ball skills might even be better than Marvin Harrison Jr. I can really put the test of that. I definitely could see that happen. I'm an Ohio State guy. I'm from Ohio State country. And objectively, Nabers could be up there. Nabers is up there. It's just a dogfight between these two. Odunze's good. He's pushing for the wide receiver 1 status in last year's class. There's levels to this game. When you project out, you look at these wide receivers, these 5 here, and you say who could be the most productive. It could be any one of these 5. I think the odds strip down as you get down the tiers. I think Keon Coleman and Troy Franklin, the odds are a little bit higher on them. Franklin goes in the right spot. Definitely could see it. A-dot guy, goes to a strong arm quarterback who's a YOLO monster. Keon Coleman needs a YOLO quarterback. Odunze is going to go a little bit lower in the draft, around the 115 range. That could get him a better quarterback option. Nabers and Harrison Jr., they may have to do a lot of work. But again, stud prospects, and you do not go against generational talents, top-tier talents, Nabers and Harrison Jr. That's where I'm at. Those are my top guys. I like Odunze. It's just too cool right now. It's just too cool. I'll find a guy that's ranked wide receiver 20, 25, and I'll like him a lot. I like Javon Baker. Watch him at the Senior Bowl. We're going to have a lot of Senior Bowl coverage this week. Tons of videos, tons of highlight clips. It's going to be right here on the channel. If you're looking for Senior Bowl coverage, I'm probably going to have the most of it. It's probably going to be right here. Click that subscribe button. But I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next one.